Imagine you want to buy the best-selling SUV in the largest auto market in the world.
Okay.
You might logically expect that vehicle to wear a Toyota badge, maybe Volkswagen or, perhaps Tesla.
Right, the usual suspects.
Exactly. But as of January 2026, the vehicle sitting at the absolute top of that list is made by the same company that likely manufactured your smartphone, your smartwatch, or even your Robotic vacuum.
It's honestly wild to think about.
It really is. Welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to explore exactly how the electronics giant Xiaomi created the YU7. This is a vehicle that looks remarkably like a $400,000 Ferrari, but costs a fraction of the price.
A tiny fraction.
Yeah, and we're going to look at exactly why it is terrifying Western automakers who are watching this entire thing unfold.
Because it represents a fundamental shift. We're watching consumer electronics development cycles collide with traditional heavy manufacturing, and it's happening so much faster than analysts predicted.
To really understand this collision, we're pulling from an incredibly compelling stack of sources today. First, we have an Italian market report that breaks down the raw data behind the YU7's explosive sales trajectory.
The numbers are staggering.
They really are. We're also looking at a revealing interview and a highly heated comment section from Car News China. This is regarding the vehicle's very controversial exterior design.
Oh yeah, we definitely need to get into that.
For sure.
Yeah.
And finally, we have a hands-on review from Electrek that beautifully articulates why Western markets are so incredibly frustrated they can't even buy this vehicle yet. Okay, let's unpack this, because the sales trajectory of this car defies almost every established rule of automotive retail.
It really does. I mean, the adoption rate is staggering when you look at the historical context of new car brands. Legacy automakers usually spend years.
Sometimes a decade.
Exactly. A decade just trying to carve out a single percentage point of market share in a new territory. Xiaomi essentially bypassed that entire foundational phase.
The data from that Italian article paints the picture perfectly. Let's look at August of 2025. The Xiaomi YU7 debuted at 23rd place in Chinese car sales.
Which, to be fair, for a new entrant, 23rd is actually a highly respectable launch.
Absolutely. But then, fast forward just 6 months to January 2026, and it hit number one.
Number one in the largest market on Earth.
Yeah. In a single month, they moved 37,869 units. And that wasn't even the ceiling.
Right, they peaked right before that.
Yeah, the month prior, in December, they hit 39,089 units. To put that scale into perspective for you, that leapfrogs established heavyweights entirely. They bypassed domestic giants like BYD and Geely, tech rivals like Huawei, and massive foreign players like Volkswagen.
To understand that kind of rocket ship rise, we really have to look under the hood, both literally and metaphorically. The Electrek review breaks down the specifications, and honestly, they explain a lot of that consumer enthusiasm.
Let's start with the physical footprint.
Right. So the YU7 is slightly larger than the world's best-selling car, the Tesla Model Y. It comes in about a foot longer and 3 inches wider. But it is the technology packed into that frame that is driving these massive sales figures.
The battery configurations alone show a deep understanding of what consumers actually want. Range anxiety remains the highest barrier to entry for EV adoption globally. And Xiaomi seems to have thrown everything at that specific problem.
They absolutely did. They split their approach to cater to two completely different types of drivers.
Oh, so?
Well, the base and Pro models utilize a massive 96.3 kilowatt-hour LFP battery pack manufactured by BYD.
The iron phosphate ones.
Exactly. LFP, lithium iron phosphate. It's slightly heavier, but it offers incredible durability. You can charge it to 100% every single day without severely degrading the battery cells.
Which is huge for daily commuters.
Huge. But then if you step up to the Max AWD version, they switch architectures entirely. You get a 101.7 kilowatt-hour NMC battery from CATL.
So they trade the durability of iron phosphate for the sheer energy density of a nickel-manganese cobalt chemistry.
Precisely, all to maximize the range.
And the numbers they pull from that NMC battery are huge. We're looking at an incredible 835 kilometers of range on the base model.
Now, it's important to contextualize that figure.
Right, because that's rated under the CLTC, the China Light-Duty Vehicle Test Cycle. And the industry knows that runs a bit more optimistic than the EPA standards we use here in the West.
Right, it's a bit generous.
But even if you apply a standard 20% penalty to account for real-world highway driving, you are still looking at well over 400 miles of highly usable range on a single charge.
It completely alters the road trip calculus for the driver, and the performance metrics are just as aggressive.
Oh, the speed is ridiculous.
The max AWD boasts 691 horsepower. That equates to 508 kilowatts of total output. It propels this massive SUV from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in a blistering 3.23 seconds.
In a family SUV.
I know. And it tops out at 253 kilometers per hour. But arguably the most disruptive engineering feat here is the thermal management regarding the charging speeds.
Right.
The Max version features a 5.2C peak charging capacity.
That seed rating is crucial to understand. It essentially measures the rate at which a battery is charged relative to its maximum capacity.
Right, so a 5.2C rating.
It means this vehicle can absorb electricity at over 5 times its total battery capacity per hour. Practically speaking, it translates to charging from 10% to 80% in just 12 minutes.
12 minutes?
Yeah, 12 minutes to recoup that much energy essentially eliminates the traditional charging penalty. You plug in, stretch your legs, get a coffee, and the car is ready before you are.
What's fascinating here is how Xiaomi's background made this possible. They didn't even have an automotive division 5 years ago.
None at all.
What they did have was an absolute mastery of the consumer electronics supply chain. For legacy automakers, upgrading a car's architecture takes half a decade. Xiaomi is treating the vehicle platform the way a tech company treats a smartphone chassis.
They maintain the outer shell, but rapidly swap in the internals.
Exactly. Next generation silicon, upgraded battery chemistries, new motor windings, all on an incredibly compressed, aggressive timeline.
And that tech industry approach extends directly to the pricing strategy as well, which is likely the ultimate catalyst for those astronomical sales numbers.
The price is the real shocker.
With the specifications we just outlined, the market expects a premium 6-figure luxury price tag. Instead, the YU7 utilizes extreme penetration pricing. It costs between $35,300, which is about 253,500 RMB,
Yep.
and it tops out at $46,000 for the fully loaded Max version.
Unbelievable.
For you listening right now, imagine walking into a dealership and getting supercar acceleration, over 400 miles of real-world range, and bleeding-edge battery tech for the price of a standard entry-level commuter sedan. It disrupts the entire value proposition of the automotive market.
That aggressive electronic-style pricing is exactly what is winning over consumers. However, that exact same move-fast tech mentality is also pulling them into deeply controversial territory when it comes to the vehicle's actual exterior design.
That brings us to the visual elephant in the room. When Xiaomi released their initial sedan, the SU7, the automotive press immediately pointed out the heavy visual similarities to the Porsche Taycan.
Oh, was this everywhere?
It was so prevalent that it earned a nickname on Chinese social media, Mishiji, which is a blend of Xiaomi and the Chinese word for Porsche. Now, the YU7 SUV is undeniably a visual clone of the Ferrari Purosangue.
Which is a $400,000 ultra-luxury SUV.
Exactly. Predictably, the internet has dubbed the YU7 Follow Me.
Follow me. The defense of this design strategy comes directly from Tianyuan Li, who goes by Sawyer Li. He's Xiaomi Auto's design chief.
And he gave a detailed interview to Sinotech.
Right, which was subsequently analyzed by Car News China. His background is highly relevant here. Li is not an outsider to European automotive heritage. He was actually the first Chinese car designer hired at BMW Design Works back in 2012.
So he knows the legacy systems.
He spent years working deeply within the design language of BMW, MAN, and Rolls-Royce.
His defense doesn't shy away from the comparisons, but rather reframes the goal of the design team. He argues that while any competent manufacturer can match functional specifications, the emotional imprint a vehicle leaves on the user is irreplaceable.
Xiaomi operates on a 3-part internal design motto: design in accordance with science, design in accordance with natural laws, and design in accordance with intuition.
Li claims their primary focus is delivering a profound emotional connection to the user, prioritizing that feeling over any anxiety about avoiding visual comparisons with legacy brands.
He essentially argues that a beautiful, aerodynamically efficient shape is a universal truth of physics. It's not the exclusive property of one Italian design house. But there was a specific quote in that Car News China piece that really highlighted the philosophical divide.
What was it?
He claimed that the current global shift in energy systems allows Chinese automakers to leap ahead precisely because local designers are, quote, less constrained by historical frameworks.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because less constrained by historical frameworks is an incredibly loaded phrase.
Very loaded.
For a legacy brand like BMW, a historical framework means they must incorporate a kidney grille, regardless of whether an electric vehicle actually needs front airflow.
Right, it's brand iconography.
But Xiaomi doesn't have 100 years of brand iconography to protect, so they just build what they believe looks best. But the public reaction to that specific defense was absolutely explosive.
The comment section was a war zone.
The comment section of that Car News China article devolved into a highly polarized battleground over global intellectual property rights.
And looking at that raw debate perfectly encapsulates the broader geopolitical tensions surrounding these new electric vehicles. The comments provide a stark view of the two heavily entrenched sides of this issue.
Let's break down those sides impartially.
Right. On one hand, you have the defenders of China's rapid iteration approach. A commenter named Sensime beautifully articulated this perspective. They argued that being less constrained simply reflects the reality of a company that has only ever produced two vehicles.
They aren't tied down to a legacy aesthetic.
Exactly.
To bolster that defense, Sensive brought in some compelling international data regarding innovation. They pointed to metrics from the World Intellectual Property Organization, or WIPO.
And what did the data say?
It showed that China is currently the #1 country in the world for yearly granted patents. The core argument from this side of the aisle is that genuine ground-up innovation is happening at a staggering pace. They argue that if competitors truly had a rock-solid legal grievance about the exterior design, they would simply file a lawsuit, implying that dismissing the entire industry as mere copycats ignores the underlying technological advancements.
But navigating to the other side of this highly contentious issue, we have to look at the fierce counter-arguments. Remaining strictly impartial here and just analyzing the viewpoints presented in the sources, the opposing side views this rapid iteration as a subversion of international norms.
A commenter going by Niha Asinine aggressively pushed back against Sawyer Lai's explanation.
Yeah, they labeled the emotional value argument as corporate doublespeak designed to mask blatant plagiarism.
This perspective draws a very hard line between industry inspiration, where designers borrow aerodynamic cues or stylistic trends from one another, and one-to-one visual imitation.
To back up their point, this side of the debate cited very specific, frustrating historical precedents. They argued that foreign companies are at a severe structural disadvantage in Chinese courts.
Like the Jaguar Land Rover case.
Exactly. It took 3 years of intense global media pressure and legal maneuvering to finally win a case against the Landwind X7.
Which was universally recognized as a direct clone of the Range Rover Evoque.
Right. They also pointed to an instance where Apple briefly faced a sales ban in China against a local company called Shenzhen Bailey over an incredibly minor, highly contested design patent.
The statistics brought into this side of the argument directly counter the WIPO patent volume narrative. They cited the U.S. Chamber of Commerce 2024 IP Index, which currently ranks China 26th globally in intellectual property enforcement, despite that massive volume of granted patents.
The nuance here is crucial. 85% of those Chinese patents are filed domestically. Furthermore, foreign companies currently have a win rate below 35% in Chinese patent lawsuits.
The overarching claim is that the legal system structurally favors domestic players. This creates a gray zone where taking heavy inspiration carries very little financial or legal risk.
This raises an important question. How does the global market balance the undeniable rapid technological leaps these new companies are making with the very real established concerns of international intellectual property norms?
It's tough. If a Western brand spends billions of dollars in research and development to perfect an aerodynamic profile, and a tech company can replicate that shape in 18 months with minimal legal repercussion, the legacy business model begins to fracture.
It is a massive friction point that will likely define international trade for the next decade. It is the defining automotive conflict of our time.
That's right.
But if we step away from the comment sections, the patent filings, and the legal debates, we eventually have to look at the physical product itself. Because ultimately, a clone design only disrupts the market if the underlying vehicle actually performs at a high level.
And that brings us to the hands-on experience, which is where the panic among Western executives really crystallizes into reality. We are pulling insights from an electric review by veteran automotive journalist Fred Lambert.
He took it for a spin.
He traveled just outside of Beijing to take the YU7 for a first drive. To say the experience shifted his perspective would be an understatement.
He was blown away.
He explicitly noted in his write-up that he would trade his own Tesla Model 3 performance for the YU7 in a heartbeat. and he is actively investigating the complex logistics of importing one privately to Canada.
When a seasoned EV reviewer, someone who tests vehicles for a living, expresses a desire to navigate the bureaucratic nightmare of international car importation just to own a specific vehicle, it speaks volumes about the execution.
Volumes.
Lambert's review details that it wasn't just the straight-line speed that won him over, it was the robust durability and the incredibly seamless integration of the technology.
Lambert actually put that thermal management to a rigorous test with a 4-kilometer mountain hill climb. And the results were a stark contrast between old and new automotive engineering. He had a documentary crew following him in a Land Rover Evoque serving as a camera car.
The irony of that situation is brilliant. The legacy combustion vehicle, the Land Rover Evoque, actually overheated before they could even reach the summit.
It couldn't handle it.
Meanwhile, the YU7, this incredibly heavy, battery-laden electric SUV, just kept executing aggressive runs up the mountain all afternoon without a single instance of thermal throttling or power loss.
And while the vehicle is performing these high-stress climbs, the cabin experience remains completely isolated. Lambert highlighted the extensive use of double-paned acoustic glass paired with an advanced active noise-canceling system.
Active noise canceling in the cabin.
Yeah, he described the interior as incredibly quiet, creating a sensory deprivation-like environment that is absolutely essential for a true luxury experience.
But the real magic, the element that truly reveals Xiaomi's DNA as a software company, is the customization layer. Traditional automakers usually lock drivers into 3 basic regenerative braking settings.
Not Xiaomi.
No, Xiaomi allows the user to dial in the regenerative braking on a sliding scale from 0 to 100%. Even more impressive, the software allows you to decouple the front motor entirely.
So you can make a rear-wheel drive.
Yes. With a few taps on the screen, you can send all the power exclusively to the rear wheels, effectively transforming this heavy all-wheel drive family SUV into a rear-wheel drive sports car on demand.
That level of user control is practically unheard of in a consumer SUV. And the physical interface inside the cabin bridges the gap between digital and analog in a really clever way.
Oh, the HUD is amazing.
Right. Instead of a traditional small augmented reality display on the windshield, the YU7 features a massive meter-long head-up display mounted deep at the base of the windshield. It projects information so clearly that everyone in the cabin can see it. But they also solve one of the biggest complaints about modern car interiors.
The over-reliance on touchscreens. The magnetic analog buttons are a stroke of genius in user experience design. For users who hate digging through submenus just to adjust the air conditioning, Xiaomi offers a physical, snap-on keyboard.
It's so smart.
It magnetically attaches to the bottom of the main central screen, instantly giving you tactile, physical climate controls and a dedicated volume dial that seamlessly integrate with the software. It is a brilliant bridge between the tactile past and the digital future.
They paired that brilliant interface with top-tier comfort as well. We are talking about zero-gravity massage seats, and not just for the driver. Both front passengers get the full treatment.
Incredible.
And quietly monitoring all of this is an immensely powerful advanced driver assistance system, or ADA. It is powered by an NVIDIA Drive AGX Thor U chip, which processes data from a roof-mounted LiDAR system using lasers to map the environment in 3D, alongside 11 high-definition cameras and 12 ultrasonic sensors.
The inclusion of LiDAR at this price point is staggering. They are essentially future-proofing the hardware. Even if the local software regulations haven't fully caught up to permit full autonomous driving yet, the vehicle is physically equipped to handle it the moment the over-the-air update is legally allowed.
Listening to the integration of all these features, it really crystallizes the existential threat to Western automakers. There was a highly upvoted comment on that electric piece by a reader named Damon Ekstrom that perfectly captured the consumer sentiment.
What did Damon say?
He stated that vehicles like the YU7 make it increasingly difficult to even consider purchasing a Tesla today, specifically pointing out Tesla's recent lack of tangible innovation and their incredibly slow, lackluster vehicle refresh cycles.
Lambert echoed that exact sentiment in his professional assessment. He stated unequivocally that this specific vehicle is exactly why Western auto executives are terrified. Traditional brands simply cannot compete with this current value proposition.
A $35,000 vehicle boasting 6-figure specifications.
Exactly. Unmatched thermal durability and a flawless software interface. That is precisely why we were seeing such aggressive lobbying for protectionist tariffs right now. Western brands desperately need a buffer of time to figure out how to streamline their own manufacturing and software development to counter this.
But the clock is ticking.
The clock is absolutely ticking. Xiaomi has already announced aggressive plans to expand into global markets by 2027.
Which brings us to the end of our journey today. I want to take a moment to directly narrate the incredible path we've traversed with you today on this deep dive.
It's been a ride.
We started by looking at a company historically known for manufacturing robotic vacuums and smartphones, a brand that possessed zero automotive footprint just 5 years ago.
Nothing at all.
We explored how they leveraged that consumer electronics supply chain to offer jaw-dropping, supercar-level acceleration and massive range on an entry-level commuter budget.
We navigated the murky, highly controversial waters of global intellectual property, too.
Yes, examining the fierce debates over design cloning, patent volume, and the structural disadvantages foreign legacy brands face in international courts.
And finally, we ended up inside a piece of technology so undeniably impressive that veteran Western reviewers are actively trying to figure out how to sneak it through international tariff walls just to park it in their own driveways.
Is a story of unprecedented industrial disruption.
And I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as you go about your day.
Please do.
For over a century, traditional car companies have slowly and methodically tried to integrate technology into their vehicles, essentially trying to force mechanical machines to act like computers. But as we look at the incredible disruptive success of the Xiaomi YU7, we really have to wonder.
What's that?
Is the future of transportation actually going to be dictated by legacy car companies struggling to learn software? Or is it going to be entirely ruled by consumer electronics companies who simply view the car as just another giant rolling smartphone in their larger digital ecosystem?
That is a fascinating shift in perspective, and it reframes the entire industry. To you, our listener, we want to explicitly and warmly thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. We know your time is incredibly valuable, and we are so grateful for your curiosity and for choosing to explore these massive global shifts alongside us. So what does this all mean? It means the road ahead is about to get very, very interesting. Thanks for listening.